If you created the Aging Room Small Batch Cigar line, the highest rated boutique cigar brand of our times, what would you do next? Well, if you're Rafael Nodal from Boutique Blend Cigars, you would combine your three most important passions of your life, Cuba, music, and cigars, and create a new classic, La Boheme Cigars. La Boheme is Rafael's take on the golden age of Cuban cigars. La Boheme is a sophisticated blend of extra-aged and hard-to-find tobaccos from the Dominican Republic. A medium-bodied cigar, rich in flavors reminiscent of the island he left 35 years ago in a small boat with his family. Why wait for the embargo to be lifted? Smoke La Boheme today. Blending is in our DNA. Paying homage to the mecca of tobacco, Pinot del Rio, Cuba, Abe Flores opened his PDR cigar factory in the Dominican Republic over 10 years ago. Abe is one of the hottest boutique cigar makers in the industry today, earning the number 10 spot on Cigar Aficionado's Top 25 Cigars of 2014 with the Abe Flores 1975 Serie Privada. Abe and his team use Cuban blending traditions in a modern boutique Dominican factory. Smoke PDR cigars and cut, light, and taste what they love to do. Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. This is, of course, our Stogies of the Week segment, where we talk about all the cigars that we've been smoking, or at least most of them. We smoke a lot of cigars in a given week.
Yep.
And we report back to you in our unique rating system what we think about them. We also do unbandeds as well. And Will, you've been smoking one of our unbandeds, and I want to hear your thoughts on it.
I don't know. I'm gonna look and see what it is in a second. But it was a fantastic cigar. I almost felt a little bad smoking it during Enrique's segment, but this was just a great Maduro. Earthy notes, coffee, some cedar spice, a nice creamy finish on this thing. I thought it was like a medium to full in terms of strength and body. And a really, really good cigar it was. It was definitely a Maduro.
In which, was this week 3 or 4? We have a new naming system.
It's still under the old one. It's 4.
Okay. And I smoked this one last week, and I apologize
Yeah,
because
and
a lot of time has gone by since.
Yeah, this is my fault because I didn't smoke the cigar last week.
And I
was
did,
late.
which is weird.
Yeah.
Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah, usually it's the other way around, right?
But I remember a very favorable experience. I thought it was a really good cigar, nice flavors throughout. Is it a Maduro wrapper? I don't.
It's a Maduro wrap. I have the answer.
Okay.
It's a Maduro wrap.
I thought
What
it was a
country do
really
you think it's
solid
from?
cigar, like probably somewhere between a 5er and a box split for me. I thought it was pretty solid.
I thought it was somewhere. I actually even had better. I thought it was between a box split and Chuck Norris.
Nice.
That's how good.
Nice.
Yep.
So what was the cigar, Will?
What? Florida Silver Maduro Toro.
Nice. Nice.
One of my favorite cigars of the year. So it was.
It is. You
no
know, that Flor de Silva and that Toro in both the natural and Maduro really, really pop for me. I could smoke those all the time. And the guys that I've given that to, really high on that cigar. Really high on that cigar.
It was a very impressive cigar. So yeah, it was sitting in my travel humidor for the week, and it was fine. I had a very enjoyable experience with that cigar.
We had Gabriel on the show a couple times in our history, and I'm always impressed with that brand, to be honest with you, Will. And I haven't gone back and smoked, some of the ones that he sent up, largely because we reviewed them on the show. But I'm glad we had the unbanded because, I have to, restrain myself because I'm like, oh, I could, totally smoke that cigar right now and really enjoy it. But it's something we've reviewed on the show quite a bit, and I try and mix it up, for our listeners. But I tell you what, those cigars in both the natural Maduro and that Toro size, for me, were really special. For the folks that we gave it to that visit here in the studio, they were really high on that cigar as well. Out of a lot of the cigars that I give to people that visit, and like when you come over or when everyone else comes over and visits, I'm always like, hey, you know what? Try this, and then what you think of it. It's kind of like validation to say, like, is it the same what I think of it? Like, what do you think of this cigar?
Yeah.
And I kind of like mentally just keep track of the things that people say about the cigars that I give them. The Flor de Silva is like ranking really high. Like I'd love to formalize like that program and like think of like track what people are thinking about cigars. The Flor de Silva would rank really high.
That is a brand in Europe that when they do the equivalent to Cigar Aficionado there, this is a cigar. It's kind of every year like Padron and Fuente. It's on the list every year. So this has been a brand that's been in Europe for a long time, and now it's starting to come over to the U.S. and it's a very competitive and it's a different market here. But I can tell you the quality in that brand is really good.
Definitely quality tobaccos. I mean, just when you look at the wrapper and the construction and you smoke them, like they're using super high quality tobacco, very smooth and balanced. The price points on the higher side, I would say, Will.
Yeah, I mean it's about a $10 price point for that Toro.
I mean that's not horrible. That's not. I wouldn't call that expensive.
And again,
but I would call it good value. Like I would pay $10 for that cigar all day long, dude. Like it's. Yeah. Have you smoked this one yet?
The Flor de Silva?
Yeah.
No. And I actually, you know what? I think it's gotten some decent.
Before you leave, remind me. I'll give you a couple.
Yeah, I'll let you know what I think tomorrow. But this, they've gotten some decent critical acclaim lately too. I think in some of these, in some of the rating lists and everything like that this year. There's a lot of cool, interesting stuff that's new and small that's kind of coming there. But like Will said, I mean, they're really big in Europe, so I'm looking forward to
kind of like the popular game of Ask Grabby Grabby. Like they're popular
which
in Europe.
Apparently is not that popular.
Yeah. But they really, I mean, you say it's like to us it's new, but to the European market, they've had this available to them.
Yeah, they've been playing Ask Grabby Grabby for years.
I'm so jealous
of
both
too.
Ask Grabby Grabby and Flor de Silva.
Flor de Silva, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I smoked something this week.
Let's hear about it.
That was very, very interesting. It was called, and I have one of these. I promised that I would give it to you, and I will work my magic and try to get you one. It's a cigar called Protocol.
Mm-hmm. I've had it.
Yeah. There was the Protocol, which was actually really, really good. And then another one, which I just had, that actually was what I was thinking of, but it's from the same part of the country. It's Fourth Prime. Have you heard of that yet, Will?
Who is that from?
It's a cooperation with Skip Martin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're thinking of Fable.
Yes.
Protocols, Espinosa, and Fable.
You were telling me about this,
yes,
Jared.
Fable.
Yeah.
It's the grand name of it is Fourth Prime. It's actually a Pennsylvania broadleaf in a box press. Yeah, okay. It's really, really interesting, and it's by Skip Martin. Worked with this gentleman by the name of Matul Shah, who owns a bunch of cigar shops down in New Jersey and New York, and him and his partners. And this cigar was one of the most interesting cigars that I've smoked in a while. That Pennsylvania broadleaf is such an interesting wrapper that you don't see used in a lot of places, and most of the stuff that Skip Martin has been getting into lately has been pretty good. I've really appreciated it. And this cigar I smoked, they have I think 4 or 5 different sizes. Mm-hmm. They have a Robusto Gordo. They have a Toro. They have a short Robusto, and the short Robusto is what I saved for you, which I'll give you before I leave tonight. Very, very interesting. Very, very good. And I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about it. And like I said, Will, he's very interested. I want to make sure that I get that in your hands as well. But
appreciate it.
I would definitely buy a box of them. I thought it was that interesting of a blend. It was very full-bodied. It was very peppery, but it wasn't overwhelming. Mm-hmm. It had some great earthiness. It had some great sort of spice notes to it. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think of it.
Skip does pretty amazing things.
He really does. Not even pretty, like amazing things. Amazing things. He's been doing
what a run.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Will, what else you been smoking?
So I'll start off with one of the big game cigars. I'll start off with this one. I know you have one as well.
I do.
and I'll talk about that one, but I'll talk about this one first. This is the Ditka Special Game Day Edition. So this is a cigar that it's under the Mike Ditka line of Camacho. If you look at this cigar, it's very much in the. It looks a lot like a Liberty, a Camacho Liberty, and that's got the 1118 shape. It comes in the coffin box. It's a Nicaraguan wrapper, Brazilian Modafina binder, and a filler from Dominican and Honduras. This was the last few Liberties I have. I know a lot of people have liked the last few Liberties. They just haven't wowed me lately. I haven't really had a good Liberty since one that's wowed me since 2012. This one's
I'm right with you.
I'm right with you, Will. I think the vintage Liberties at this point are the ones that really stick out in my mind.
I've got a 2003 in my humidor.
Yeah, some of the older ones are just
unbelievable. And 2012 I think is the best year of the new Camacho Liberties that have come out.
Totally agree. It's I call it the post-Christian era. Yeah. And that one's aged fantastic. The last few, they've been making them a little more Davidoff-esque, is I guess the best way to put it. Yeah. And this one's it's in that wheelhouse. It's got more of an herbal, grassy quality to it. It just didn't wow me. It's a good cigar. It's a $17 cigar. So what I would tell people is try one before you buy multiples. And see what you think on that. It's like I said, it's a well-made cigar. It's got some Davidoff-esque quality, but it's not a Davidoff per se in my book. But I think it's still worth a try one before you go buy multiples of these.
It's interesting. All the Ditka branded cigars, I think people are very polarized on them.
Yeah.
Either they kind of fall in that try one kind of rating, maybe fiver, and then some of them are a little more exceptional than others. I haven't had one that I thought was like a bad cigar, certainly. But
no, they're not overwhelming or underwhelming. Yeah. They're whelming.
But it's not a gimmicky kind of cigar. Ditka puts his name on it, and I'm like,
they're not gimmicky, and they're not poor quality. Now he did a Connecticut shade, Paul, very early on, called The Player, and that's the best one I've had in the line. And it was very limited, and I can't get them anymore. It was a coffin release as well.
I'm gonna have to try and see if I can.
The last Ditka, I smoked a Ditka. There's a cigar shop in Connecticut that's right near the ESPN offices, and Mike Ditka. I actually have it on my phone. It's funny. Mike Ditka hangs out at this cigar shop a lot. Oftentimes he comes in the same suit you just watched him in on ESPN a couple minutes ago.
Where is this?
It's Mickey Blake's. It's in Southington, Connecticut.
Okay.
And Milford, Connecticut.
Yeah, I've heard
really, really, really cool shop. They have indoor golf simulators and stuff like that.
Did you see Mike Ditka
And
there?
Mike Ditka was there at a Christoph event. Glenn and I were both there. Yeah. And we met him, and he gave me one of his Ditka cigars. And I smoked it, and it's like, he's the kind of dude where, he's a big dude. And he was like, oh, what do you think? What do you think? I smoke yours. I like yours. I'll take a box. What do you think of mine? And I'm like, yours is very good. There was almost no other answer I could have given. But it actually, again, that's just speaking to the sort of ambiance effect of smoking a cigar. It's like when you're smoking a Ditka with Mike Ditka, it's like, I'm into it. I really,
Ditka's a cool guy, dude.
He's a real cool dude.
Yeah.
Jared,
everything I've seen with Ditka and read about Ditka, and I'm a football fan.
Yeah.
He just seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah. He told me this fabulous story, actually, about how, I don't know if anybody has seen, any of the listeners have seen the commercial where it's, I forget for which company, but he's wearing a small hat that has a little miniature bobblehead of him on it in this commercial. And he took that bobblehead, and the production company came after him for taking the bobblehead. Nice. He's like, but it's me. It's a bobblehead of me. And I was like, if you can't steal your own likeness.
Did he go on Saturday Night Live when they used to do this Ditka skits?
I'm not sure, but I love those skits.
Those skits are awesome. But when you talk about Ditka, you think about the whole thing and the bears and that whole, But to speak about his cigars, I think everyone should try them. They're not gimmicky. They're not gimmicky in any.
No. And this is a man who really, he appreciates cigars.
I've heard that.
And I don't know to what extent his stamp is actually on these cigars. I don't know how intimately he's involved in the blending process or anything like that. But I really, this is a man who really appreciates cigars.
He hasn't put his name in anything that's been bad.
So I could talk about that because I smoked with Ditka in Vegas at the trade show. The Camacho people, I happened to weasel my way over there. So he said, so I asked him about that. And he told me, he goes, I don't blend. He goes, I have the experts. They know what I like. Bring something to me that I like. I'll put my stamp on it, whether I like it. But he goes, I'm not down in the factory at all.
Yeah.
He did tell me one other thing, Jared. And I think I told you this story, Paul. He looked at me, and I was smoking a Toro size cigar. I think it was a regular Camacho Toro. And he goes, you like that Toro? And I go, yeah. He goes, let me tell you something. I like big grain gauge cigars. I don't care what any of you guys say. I like big grain gauge cigars.
He bought a box of my San Andreas 60 at this event.
He loves 60.
He loves 60
when I think of Ditka, like the big ring gauge totally fits him.
He's a guy who can pull that off.
Yeah, I'm like, I totally respect it.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, it's interesting. We're talking about Ditka in football, and of course, Ditka's got a huge history in football, and we all respect his career in football.
Yeah.
And recently we've done a couple of segments with La Flor Dominicana, and before I talk about the cigar, I just want to put it out there that La Flor Dominicana, and not to take away the fun you guys have at Christoph, right? But La Flor Dominicana just looks like one of the most fun companies to work for on the planet, dude.
Yeah.
Like, those guys have fun. I got an opportunity to interview Lido. I've got an opportunity to interview Tony, his son, John Carney, who has his roots here in New England. We've had him on the show multiple times. John Gologli, did I say it right? Gologli is the rep here in New England. And just working with those guys and seeing those, all those guys over the years and getting a chance to know them, like, it's just a really fun company, a fun atmosphere that they present.
Yeah.
And we've gotten the opportunity to do some things with them lately. And they're not a sponsor by any stretch of the imagination. They're like, we want to have fun. And they're like, hey, we want to come on the show and have fun. And it's hard for Will and I to say no to that, right?
Yeah.
Because they make some awesome cigars and they're doing some really cool things. And one of the cool things they did recently, and they sent us these samples overnight, mind you.
Overnight.
Swanky.
Overnight.
Props to our UPS guy who got here at 8:30 right before I got here, and then came back a little later to make sure that I got them. And I'm like, dude, you're my hero. I'm like, these are cigars I have to smoke later. I'm like, it's actually a football cigar I had to smoke later for the show. And he was laughing. I'm like, thank you so much. But they made the La Flor Dominicana Special Football Edition 2016. It's a perfecto size cigar. Jared, you're looking at the picture here. We talk about it in the Stogie Geeks short. I wanted to review it here because when I smoked it, fresh off the truck overnight, it just presented to me this outstanding sweetness flavor. And I tip my hat for the way they did this blending. The lighter wrapper that you'll see on both the head and the foot, and that makes up the football that they stamp in the middle of this cigar, which is very unique, is all Connecticut shade wrapper. And they talk about the blend on the short that we did, but it's just got this sweetness component that was very enjoyable to smoke.
Yeah.
It was a really good cigar. And again, this is kind of something when we talk about football and cigars, like, you think it's kind of gimmicky. We get the big game coming up on Sunday, right? And you think everyone's kind of jumping on the bandwagon, but this is the second time that they've done this, and they did a fantastic job with it.
Yeah.
I would rate this cigar box worthy. It comes in boxes of 10. They nailed the blend. I think it's a unique cigar to have, first of all, to visually look at, but it lives up to all of that hype. They did a great, Tony did a fantastic job. Tony's the one that blended this, right, Will?
Yeah, that's what he said on the short.
Tony did a great job blending the cigar. I mean, really, you can kind of feel that spirit of the company behind this blend. And I really enjoyed it. And I rated it box worthy, Will. I would buy a box of these cigars because I enjoy smoking them and because it's kind of a cool thing. And they come in boxes of 10, right? Yeah. So it's not like a huge investment to get into a box.
And for the layman to look at that cigar and say, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, you have no idea how complicated it is to actually roll a cigar that smokes well and is
he
cohesive.
was kind of like cagey. I'm like, how did you get the football on there? And he was kind of like, well, we got this like method.
It's
right?
I mean, it's insane how challenging it is.
Yeah.
And some of the listeners that might be lucky enough to have gone on one of these factory tours and gotten a chance to roll their own cigar, I mean, making one regularly. Like, if I worked in our factory, I would be fired like on my second day.
Yeah.
Like, but to just see the intricacy and how perfect.
He said, you listen to the short, you know, he talked about like a stamp and then like how difficult it was to get this on there and put in the break we were talking about like the pectin and the Arabic gum and all that stuff, and to like get this on the cigar is a tedious process. So, well, I rated it box worthy. I don't know what your rating on this one was.
Yeah, I have this one as one of mine too. So you nailed a lot of components with that. I'll say this. Taking the football off that cigar, this is a very beautiful figurado.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this was not an easy figurado to blend to begin with. I thought this cigar was box worthy as well. I think they knocked it out of the park with this one. And it's an artesian cigar that you're going to want to get if you're a La Flor collector, but you're going to want to smoke this cigar.
Oh, yeah.
As Paul and I mentioned, and we talk a lot about this, we do not like smoking cigars off the truck. Okay, we had to because we were recording that big game show and we really were up against the wall. We were nervous about doing it, but when I tell you this cigar smoked fantastic, I thought it had I smoked my other one I had, and there's a real nice level of complexity that you get from that figurado. The sweetness point, you nailed that as well, and I think that the second half of that cigar is when the complexity really kicks in. It kind of starts off real good. There's nice flavors, but some of the other flavors really start to get in there. Some coffee notes in there. There's a nice pepper and cedar spice that's present. But it was a box-worthy cigar as well.
Excellent. And the other short that we did with La Flor Dominicana, I got a chance to sit down with Lito Gomez for 10 or 15 minutes, and you're going to want to check that out.
I haven't seen it yet. I couldn't be there for that, but I can't wait to see that.
His story about how he got into cigars, and then I asked him about how he kind of changed the perception about Dominican tobacco, and then I asked him about factory press, small batch, and he gives some kind of indications as to what he's got coming out next. All in a compressed 10 or 15 minutes. Lito is one of my heroes in the cigar industry.
Yeah.
Lito, for those that don't know, he was a dishwasher living in Canada, didn't speak a lick of English, and didn't speak French.
Wow.
And he is now today the owner of one of a successful cigar company today. And to hear about his journey was really inspiring to me. So you're going to want to check that out when we release it. We got a tour of their factory, their sales team, the whole thing. So it's a really cool company, and certainly a brand that I've appreciated for some time over the years. Selfishly, I focus on factory press and small batch because they're some of my favorite cigars.
Did you smoke small batch 6 yet?
I've heard that I have not smoked it yet, Will, but I have heard nothing but positive things about that cigar.
I'll say this, and this is, I'm not saying it because, again, we did the shorts, but I said it before we even had these. That is right now the top cigar I've had this cigar year. It's early, I know. I know we're early in the year, but it is that good a cigar. It's one of the best small batches that's come out. They really did a great job with that cigar.
Nice. Well, I went back into my Opus collection this week, and this was, it's kind of an interesting past week or so for me personally. I won't get into any details, right? And over the past weekend, I had the opportunity to kind of have some decompression time in my workshop, and I was like, I'm going to have some of my vintage Opus. I'm going to smoke some of that stuff. And the first cigar that I reached for was Fuente OpusX Chili Pepper from 2010. This came in the Cigar Family Charitable Foundation box from 2010.
Love that cigar.
And I tell you what, dude. Now, I had a 2009 box, a 2010 box, and I bought some of the smaller boxes since then, and I'll explain why as this segment progresses. But this chili pepper in 2009 didn't really impress me.
Yeah.
In
I was just there,
2000, and you can go back in the Stogie Geeks archives and hear my impression. I tell you what, in 2010, this cigar was absolutely phenomenal. And it's got you talk about an artesian cigar. This cigar is shaped like a chili pepper, right? Like that's how it's a perfecto, and the head on the cigar is curved. You can see the
But
picture.
it's almost like a Corona gauge perfecto. Like it's really
It's a
funky.
smaller ring gauge.
Yeah, it's really funky.
Figurado, I guess I'd call it more than.
It's almost like a Salomon.
Right. But I tell you what, I rated this a fight Chuck Norris because the flavors were spot on for me. It had that kind of underlying sweetness, that nice leathery component with a little bit of spice. It delivered throughout the entire cigar. And the only reason I think I rated it Chuck Norris as opposed to Oasis was it was still a little heavy on that leathery component. Like, that leather is good and I like it, but when it kind of transitions into more sweetness and cinnamon and smoothness, I tend to go Oasis with it.
Yeah.
Right? When you get more of that leathery component, it's really good, but it can kind of be the more prominent flavor. And, I'm picking between a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, right? Like,
That's right. Yeah.
It's like, this is a really good cigar. It's hit or miss in these Fuente limited releases. I'll be honest with you. It's definitely hit or miss. But this one in the 2010 Chili Pepper, it was a fantastic experience for me. Yeah. I loved every minute of it. And I'm glad that I smoked it when I did, you know, because some of these will age out. I mean, in 6 years, some of these will definitely age out. So this is a good cigar.
Yeah. I smoked, like, speaking about, like, the fickleness of the Fuente stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I love the 2008 Don Carlos God of Fire.
Yes.
The 2011 Don Carlos God of Fire. Mm-hmm. Or 2011 Don Carlos. I'm not that big of a fan of. You know what I mean? Like, it's my girlfriend for Christmas this year got me.
Are those the Figurados?
No. These are just, like, traditional Vitolas, you know.
Because I bought a gift pack in the Figurados.
Yeah.
There's like 2 smaller ones, a medium-sized one, and 2 larger ones or something like that.
Yeah.
I thought the smaller ones were way better than the larger ones.
Yeah, I have all Robustos.
Okay.
The 2008 God of Fire Robusto, Don Carlos, is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. Huge cedar spice. It's in Cedro to start with, but it's huge cedar spice. And then the 2011, which is still in that same sort of vein of trying to accomplish the same flavor profile, just didn't do it for me. And again, is there something to be said for an additional 8 years of age? Absolutely. Absolutely. But that being said, my initial impression of the blend, in 2008, I smoked the God of Fire, and I liked it then. I like it more now. 2011, I smoked it in 2016, and it still didn't blow me away. I mean, it was good because, again, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Yeah, I'm smoking a 2011 God of Fire. I mean, my life doesn't suck that bad. But still, compared to what
this 21-year-old Scotch was just okay, but I like this other 21-year-old.
Yeah, that's right. I prefer the Lagavulin 21 to the Lafroig 21. You know, the Lafroig 25. You know,
there's a lot of people that just want to stab us in the eye right now.
Oh my God. Yeah. So it's.
But I think that's an important point for our listeners. Is listen to what we're saying, and if you're going to make that investment, because these cigars are really hard to find, first of all, and really expensive, like, do your homework before you buy these. Like, we're stupid retards.
Wicked stupid.
We'll just buy them regardless of what year it is, right? We'll just buy them and smoke them, but we report them on the show.
Like, if you see a 2011 God of Fire on the shelf, go buy it. It's really good.
Buy one.
It's really good.
Right.
Buy one, see what you think. And
but if you see the 2007...
if you see the 2008 God of Fire
put a little more budget
and the 2011,
and
it's $15 more, dig in your pocket a little deeper because it's that
yeah.
good. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're talking about really high end, really masterfully blended, really well constructed cigars.
Right.
And which one is better? Totally subjective. You could like the 2011 better than I like the 2008. So if you see this stuff, try it. Again, this is really exclusive stuff that we're talking about.
Absolutely. Will, back to you.
Smoked. This is a cigar we smoked a few weeks ago, but I smoked it in the Robusto size. It's the A. Flores 1975 Serie Privada Capa Maduro. We smoked the SP58. I actually went back and managed to get my hands on the Robusto, which is the one that Robbie was really talking about when we had Robbie Strites on the show. And I'll tell you, this is the bell of the ball size, I would say, with this. It's a great Maduro, is what I'm just going to say.
Is that the CBL, Will?
No, this is that's the Connecticut Broadleaf, the Connecticut Valley Reserve. This is actually an Ecuadorian Maduro they're using.
Oh, okay.
And which size is this, Will?
This is the SP52, which is a 5x52.
Okay.
Box
Yeah.
So this is the box press that they make.
In the Robusto size, they sent us some larger ones.
Oh, you know what? I smoked that, Will. Brian Brumick just gave me one. Their rep out here.
Brian was on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he gave me one, and I smoked that too, Will.
Yeah, good, really good cigar. A nice woody note to it. Had a little bit of a blackberry sweetness to it, I thought. It's real, like I said, I think this is, Robbie's right, this is definitely the bell of the ball. I know everyone talks about the Habano in this size, which is a great cigar, and it got the top 10 rating in Aficionado. But, again, this is another cigar I found it box worthy, where I would definitely go back and not too much sweetness, again, on this cigar, not too much spice, but a lot of body on this cigar was what I'll say on this small Robusto. So not a lot of strength, but the body, you feel it on the palate, and just an enjoyable smoke. So definitely check this one out.
Peter definitely makes some solid smokes.
And you know what?
You're going to find like your size and your blend, but like everything from them seems to be like solid, Yeah,
I'm partial to that AFR.
I haven't smoked the AFR. That's the Connecticut Broadleaf.
Very good cigar.
No,
that's not the Broadleaf.
No,
that's not the Broadleaf.
I smoked
that's
the
a
AFR.
Mexican. The AFR is a Mexican.
The San Andreas.
That's great.
Very good. I smoke, speaking of interesting stuff, you're talking about a lot of Opus and stuff like that. I had the privilege this week of smoking a Partagas 150. The original Partagas 150 from like in the 90s. One of my customers absolutely, and I'm not going to reveal my source.
Right.
But
you were telling me, like, this is a person that, like, hoards boxes of these.
Hoards. I went there. I bought 150s. I bought 160s. I bought Ducatus, which was from 1998.
I reviewed the 160 and the Ducatus on the show, which I still hold to this day in very high regard.
Yes.
160 was an unbelievable cigar for me.
Yeah. This guy, I bought Lost City Lanceros from him.
One of my favorite
cigars.
This guy
absolutely hoards really, really nice stuff. And he gave me a 150 to smoke just out of the goodness of his own heart. One of the absolute if you're a guy who likes Cameroon tobacco.
I do. Who doesn't? How can you not like Cameroon tobacco?
Partagas 150 is the quintessential African Cameroon, Mirafel Cameroon. Out there, I mean, and you can't get it. If you go online and try to buy 150s, they're $100 and something a stick. They're absolutely exorbitant. And these are cigars that used to be sold in boxes of 50, just to put it in perspective how rare they actually are. These 150s, you absolutely can't get them. You haven't been able to get them since the 90s. These cigars are absolutely tremendous. I smoked one this week, and let me tell you, after, maybe 20 years of age, these cigars are absolutely tremendous. If you go into Bob's cigar shop and he happens to have 150s that he's been sitting on for a million years, buy as many as you can get. Email Stogie Geeks and I'll buy them from you at whatever markup you decide to charge. These cigars are absolutely tremendous. It's quintessential Cameroon. I smoked one this week. It is Oasis level smoke. It is absolutely fabulous. If you can find a 150, buy a 150. It's tremendous.
Yeah, I've been on a little bit of an Opus kick. People that listen to the show know I'm a huge Opus fan. I lit up an OpusX Reserve de Chateau, I believe. And I want to say this is from like a 2013 or 14 holiday gift pack that it comes in.
Yeah.
And
With
it's
the
smoking.
diamond crown.
Yeah, it's smoking fantastic right now. And you're finishing off your open. It
is the smallest cigar that anybody will ever see. It is
you are
so small.
nubbing that.
Yeah. I told you I was going to. This is absolutely fabulous. This is
we do have
Scoro
some-
Oro.
What do you think of that, dude? Isn't it like
Oh my God. It's
off
sick.
the charts, right?
It's sick. It's sick. It's medium.
What cigar is that?
This is the
Oro
OpusX
Oscuro.
Oro Oscuro Will in the Robusto size.
You can't even see it in my hand. I'm looking at myself on the camera, and you can't see it in my hand. It's so freaking small. It is absolutely
I think I sent you
tremendous.
one of these, Will, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm hoping to report on it. I did put them in the humidor
Yeah.
with my paranoia, but I will be reporting on that very soon.
In that Robusto size,
If there was above Oasis, I would put this cigar. It's medium-bodied. It's nutty. It's toasty. It has these fabulous cedar spice notes. It has these fabulous leathery notes. It's
agree
got
with
tremendous earthiness. It's absolutely killer. I mean, I haven't smoked something that I enjoyed this.
If you could buy a box, like you'd wish you could buy two of that cigar in that size.
I don't even care what they would charge.
Right. You would
know
buy
what I
two
mean?
boxes. Right.
I would buy two boxes in an absolute second. This is so fabulous. It's thank you, Paul, for
You're
this
welcome.
cigar.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Our seedy backroom deals have yielded tremendous rewards for me.
Yes.
This is such a great cigar.
In one of the reasons I gave it to you, Jared, was I'm like, is this cigar like really that good?
It is.
I smoked it last December at the Christmas party for Cigar Corner, and I'm like people are trying to talk to me, and I'm like, dude, I can't even concentrate right now.
Yeah.
And I had just gone to see Star Wars, The Force Awakens, so I was like already on a high. I'm like, well, maybe it was because I was such in a good mood, and then I had this cigar, and people are trying to talk to me. I'm like, I can't even like make words right now. This cigar is so good. Like, you just need to leave me alone. So like, and I felt bad because we're like this social setting, and I'm like, I turned to Big Pete, and I'm like, dude, this cigar is like off the charts.
It's insane.
And I smoked some other sizes of that, and it wasn't the same experience.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't bad, but the Robusto size, and they come in that big box, and there's like 4 or 5 different sizes, and there's like 3 of each size.
Yeah.
So you only get like 3 Robustos in that box. But like, I would buy the whole box just to get those 3 Robustos because they were so
stupid
good.
to say, but it's so
it's stupid.
good.
It is.
It's so stupid. I'm smoking more thumb tissue right now than I am cigar, and this thing is freaking unbelievable.
Yeah, so Will, forget everything we just said and try and smoke that. You just try to smoke that cigar with like no preconceived notions. But I'm telling you, Will, it sounds weird because I'm going to talk about another OpusX cigar, right? Like, I'm a big Fuente and OpusX fan. I smoked a Fuente Love Affair from 2010. Now, the Love Affair size of OpusX is pretty rare. It's one of my favorite sizes. I had the opportunity to buy like 4 or 5 of them, and I was like, holy crap, that's like the best OpusX I've ever had in my life. And the next time they came in, I was like, ooh, I'm like, I don't care how much you're going to charge. I'm like, I'll take the whole box. And my friend at the time who owns the shop was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, and I think the only reason she did it was because she realized like how much I love that cigar.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you have to realize, like, I've been looking for cigar for years, and I have such a deep appreciation for it. Like, I want to buy the whole box. And when the Patriots won the Super Bowl last year, this is the cigar that I used to celebrate. So to make me feel better that the Patriots aren't in the Super Bowl this year, I'm like, I'm going to smoke another one. And I smoked this from 2010, and I'm like, it wasn't that good. And it just speaks to like how hit or miss some of these Cigar Family Charitable Foundation boxes are. And I've had mixed, and you've heard me talk about this on the show for the past 3 years. It's just hit or miss. And this one was not was not great. The chili pepper, awesome, right? This one was like a try one, and I'm like, I know this size and this blend can be great, but just where it is now and whatever it wasn't that great. I rated. I think I rated it a 5.
And the worst part is you wanted to like it.
I wanted to like it. I rated it a 5. And this is a fight Chuck Norris and probably Oasis level cigar. People that don't like Opus, as much as it kills me, I'm like, here's one. And I'm like, dude, like, smoke this with me.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I see what you're talking about when it comes to Opus. I'm like, this is one you can smoke fresh or aged.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, this vintage 2010 just didn't do it for me. Have you had a love affair before, Will?
Oh, yeah.
And they're awesome, right?
They're
great.
And I know we've been talking a lot about Fuente, but, Fuente, I think we mentioned this, they had a great year last year.
They did.
And I haven't even smoked this Oscuro yet. And but what I had, it was a fantastic year for Fuente. I mean, they just knocked it out of the park with their releases.
Yeah. Back to you, Will.
I smoked a cigar from my father's cigars called, it's under the Flor Dominicana line, called the MAM 13.
Mid-Atlantic Mafia.
Maybe.
No, that's what the MAM stands for.
It is.
Mid-Atlantic Mafia, yeah.
Okay. It went to a group of retailers in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. That what you need to know about this cigar is it's a rounded version of the Flor de los Antillas, which my father just announced there's going to be a rounded one in a tubo that's coming out. But this one's been floating around for a couple of years already. It went to a few select retailers. And I'll say this, it's a decent cigar. It's very similar to the box press one. I'd say it's actually maybe a little more dialed back in terms of strengths. It was actually more, I'd say, below a medium to start out with. But this cigar has been aging in my humidor for a while, so it could have took it. But Flor de Antillas is never more than a medium to begin with. I'd say it's got much more of a cedar component to this cigar than some of the other Flor de Antillas. Decent. It's a good cigar. If you like Flor de Antillas, I think you owe it to give it a try. I had it as a 5 on here. Not a bad cigar at all.
Nice. I smoked a Tortuga 215 Reserva Cedro Bellicoso. From our friend Victor Vital. And I'll separate our relationship with Victor. He's a great guy, right?
He's a good guy.
And I separated that and I smoked a cigar. This cigar was awesome. I was like, from the time I lit it up to the time I finished, I was like, I'm really digging it. I'm enjoying it. I'm pairing it with coffee. It has great flavors. As the name kind of alludes to, like, I got that cedar flavor from it, right? Like, it had a nice cedar component to it that kind of coupled with a little bit of sweetness. And it just had a lot going for this cigar. Very easy smoking. It's like one of those cigars, like, you could be sitting, relaxing by yourself, having some coffee, talking with friends, enjoying the cigar. You could be, like, out on your deck, kind of, barbecuing and commiserating. It's just out fish. You could be anywhere and just, like, enjoying the cigar, right? And I thought he did a great job with blending it. And I called it a box split because it's something that it smoked so well, had some great flavors. It's really versatile. Like, it's not mild, but it's not overly strong. Like, it hits that, like, kind of what I call, like, Cuban kind of strength, like where you could smoke it really any time. It was just an excellent cigar, and I called it a box split. Will, have you smoked this one?
Yeah, in fact, that line, the Tortuga 215 Reserva, he makes it 2 different ways. There's some box press sizes, and then there's rounded ones. And the rounded one, there's 3 rounded ones, which are the Cedros, which are all in the cedar wrap. And I do prefer the rounded cedar wrap ones. I agree.
I would agree. Yeah, I think I've smoked both as well, Will. And this is a great offering as well. And to be like a Bellicoso and smoke that well too, because Bellicosos in torpedoes sometimes, I think that's. I mean, I hate to put the stereotype on the size, but that size sometimes can be kind of hit or miss, and you got to blend that right. It's got to have the right amount of draw, and this one just kind of does it. So, thanks, Victor. I think he sent those to us too, Will.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the cigars I actually smoked this week, was the one that you guys are giving away. The J. Grotto Silk Petite Corona.
Mm-hmm.
I smoked it with Paul, so disclaimer aside, I smoked
But
it with Paul.
that's an important disclaimer, right? I think when you smoke with the person
you're more inclined to
I agree, because a lot of times, even on via Skype or in studio, we'll smoke with the person who blended the cigar, but the person behind it, and I don't want to say it can influence you, but it definitely contributes to your experience.
You definitely don't want to dislike it.
Yeah, because you're with the person that did it.
That being said, Paul and I are good friends.
Yeah, we go back a long way, Paul and I.
You guys know that. And Paul is one of those guys where if I give him a cigar, I remember I gave him a pre-release cigar one time, and I said, Paul, what do you think? And he said, I couldn't smoke this if I tried, blah, blah, blah. And then we reblended it and came out with something that everybody seemed to like. I would tell Paul to his face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's the kind of guy that would appreciate
and Paul leans on us for the same thing, too. He's like, I give you guys cigars because I know you're going to give us your honest opinion, right?
Yeah. And so I smoked this Petite Corona with Paul and Mark, or with Stogie Santa.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely tremendous. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it.
From the first one he gave me, and then I've gone back and smoked several. I agree.
He did a tremendous job.
On the mark.
This is one of those kind of things where if I have a 45-minute drive in the morning or a half-hour drive in the morning, and I have my Starbucks coffee next to me or whatever, and I'm having a coffee, I will smoke this all day. It is mild but complex. It has some fabulous.
It has a lot of body
to it.
It
has a tremendous amount of body for a.
I noticed, like, I'll reach for that at various points in the day. Like, it almost doesn't matter whether it's in the morning or midday or even towards the end. Like, it's just a very versatile cigar.
Yeah, I totally agree. Swan song, by the way, for my for my Oro Oscuro. But
that's a special cigar.
It was an absolutely excellent. I was so pleasantly surprised when Paul gave it to me, and even more so when I smoked it. I mean, I really think he did a fabulous job with that cigar.
Yeah, so make sure you listen to the trivia question coming up pretty soon, and you can win a 5-pack of those.
Yes, win it. Try to win it.
Try to win it. Yes, try to win it. Yes.
It is very, very, very good.
Will, over to you.
This one was actually my smoke of the week. It's another box-worthy cigar, and it's the Aroa First 20 Years cigar by Christian Aroa. And this is a cigar. He talked about this one when we had him on the show. It's a cigar that commemorates him being in the cigar business for 20 years. It's some tobacco that his father gifted to him, and then he went and created a blend with it. I think it's great cigar, and if you like the original Aroa, I think you'll like this as well. I think it's got a lot of similar characteristics. It's again one of those Honduran puros that I think is not gonna smoke like a Honduran puro. It's just the best way to put it.
I do like the Aroa in that small size. I bought 2 boxes of them just to speak to how much I like that cigar.
Yeah, I think he's doing a really good job with that stuff. Yeah,
a lot of complexity cigar. Nice lemongrass flavor. That's probably the one thing that's a little different than the original Aroa. This was positioned as a dial-back cigar, but I thought it was more in the medium to full range. But maybe over time, it's gonna settle down to that. So I think it's worth watching with that. But this was another box-worthy cigar. The one thing, and I have this in the Stogie feed. Christian talked about this, is how he hates cellophane.
He does.
And what he did is there's a band on the cigar, and then the lower part of the cigar is wrapped with a tissue paper.
Yeah, because the cellophane obviously protects the cigar, and manufacturers kind of come with this unique method to get away from cellophane, because I agree it does impede on the cigar's ability to breathe and age and all that stuff. So
this is a problem that we just dealt with from a manufacturer's standpoint, like we are. I mean, cellophane is one of those things where yeah, it absolutely has functional utility from a retailer's perspective because they come barcoded and everything like that, but also from a consumer's perspective because how many times have you been in a humidor and you've seen a guy take a cigar and go, oh, shove it up his nose basically and say,
But
well, it smells
not
really
only
good.
that, in my own humidor, there's been a lot of damaged cigars that stem from the fact that I either took the cellophane off or it didn't come with cellophane, and it just got damaged in my humidor, dude.
Yeah.
You know,
And you got to be careful with that stuff.
so to this day, like I don't take the cellophane off because it's going to get damaged.
Yeah.
And when you have that damaged cigar in your humidor, I hate this. I'm like, go reach for the next one.
Do you even want to try it?
Yeah.
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 No, you're
We're going to do a
right.
segment on the pectin and the repairing cigars too, which I think is important, which I think will help with that. But I hear you on cellophane.
You got to be careful because it protects the cigars. It's easier for the retailer. But again, there's something about looking at a box on a shelf of uncellophane cigars, and you can see the quality of the wrapper. You can see the oiliness, or you can see just the impeccability of the construction.
Right.
And you just don't get that with cellophane. Even though it's the same exact cigar, you just don't get that. So it's a slippery slope for manufacturers, absolutely.
I smoked a Rocky Patel Decade Cameroon Robusto. This was a really good cigar. It had some good flavors. I felt like, I don't know, and I'm not by any means like an expert, right? But I felt in this size, for my palate, like the cigar wasn't working. And like, I got where he was going with the blend, and I don't know. It was just like my gut feeling and the reaction of my palate. And I smoked this first thing in the morning, with coffee, which is a fuller cigar, I think, for that as well. But I kind of just felt like I really appreciate this blend, but I think that it would be better for my palate to try it in different sizes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it just the number of cigars I smoked or just my gut feeling on this one, that I'm like, I can kind of see, I like to think that I can see like this size just for me was not the one that did it for me in this blend. I still rated it a 5 because I thought this blend was really good. But I think that when I try different sizes, I'm going to find a size that I'm going to rate much higher than even a 5 because I thought he did a great job with this blend. If
This
you guys
is the Robusto?
Yeah, I smoked the Robusto.
Yeah, I smoked the Robusto too, and I had a very, very similar experience.
Yeah.
I said because I'm a big fan of Cameroon tobacco.
Me too.
And I said to myself, I really want to like this cigar. I really do because I like the Decade. And as a matter of fact, we talk about this all the time. You and I, Paul. It seems like I liked this blend I like the Decade, the traditional Decade, not Cameroon.
This is the new Decade Cameroon.
Yes, yeah, but the traditional Decade I liked in the Emperor size, which is the 60 gauge size. I like it better than the Box Press Toro or anything like that. But this cigar, I smoked it and I was like, wow, I really wanted to like that. And it just, like you said, it kind of just fell a little short for me in terms of expectations. But I think you're right. I think if I try some additional sizes, I think I can find something that I like because I was impressed with the balance of the blend and everything like that.
And the flavors I got from it were 5 worthy, which is not a bad rating. But I'm like, I really want to try this in different sizes because I just know I have a gut feeling that in different sizes, like it's going to be so much of a higher rating for me.
Yes.
Now,
what's your thoughts?
I like the Robusto. I really like the Robusto.
Yeah, well, I can see that working for some people, Will. And the 5 rating tends to do that, right? Like I may rate it a 5, but Will might smoke it and go, no, this is the size that was in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, and we've talked about the 5 rating. The 5 rating is not a miss.
No.
But we do try to get the box split and box worthy ratings, and I think we're trying to hone those as more special. So we're still telling you to buy multiple of that cigar.
Right.
So,
no, I would smoke this cigar again.
I would
certainly,
smoke it.
absolutely. But I think that knowing the brand and the blend and the different sizes they have, like I know there's another size that I'm gonna like better.
Would tickle my fancy.
You know what? It's a different blend, but having tried like the 20th anniversary of Rocky Patel and Lancero, I'm like, wow, like that really worked, right?
Yeah.
And the Prohibition I thought was good, but then I had the Super Ligero, even the Bellicoso, which is not always my favorite size. Like all the ones that he sent us, like, I think I smoked all for myself because I liked them so much. And I'm like, this is really, really good, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Back to you, Will.
But I'm done.
I smoked a Henry Clay tattoo. And does this come in just one size, Will, or more than one size?
The Henry Clay tattoo comes in one size.
Okay.
There is a new Henry Clay stalk cut, which comes in multiple sizes.
Interesting. Okay. So this is a regular Henry Clay. I found a very different flavor profile to this cigar, and I couldn't quite, like, put my finger on it. I don't want to say it was... like, I'm thinking, like, kind of like hay and charred meat kind of mixed together. Like, it was a really distinct flavor profile.
Yeah.
And for me, it just didn't work. It just...
I'm right there with you.
I
got
really
a very charcoal-y kind of...
The charcoal, I think, is... Yeah.
I smoked it. I did smoke it, and I really got this sort of charcoal-y sort of...
Like, there's a really distinct flavor profile for the cigar, and, like, you're either going to really like it or, like, not so much. And for me, it just wasn't in my wheelhouse. And I smoked 2 of these for this review, and that doesn't always happen in a particular cigar.
Yeah.
And this had Pete Johnson's name on it, and I'm like, I want to really give the cigar a fair shot, and I'm like, no, it didn't work for me. And I wanted it to work for me because I read on the Henry Clay brand. I love so many cigars that Pete Johnson has put out, and I'm like, it just wasn't working for my palate. I can see people really liking this cigar. If they like that profile, they're going to really dig the cigar, but it's got like a really narrow...
Like if you like Kentucky Fire Cured and
you
stuff
might,
like
yes,
that,
you might
Camacho
like this
Barrel
one.
Aged,
Right.
You'll like the Henry Clay because it has this distinctly sort of, like I said, charcoal-y kind of smoky, barnyardy sort of profile.
What did you feel about this cigar, Will?
So I think they were going for... I kind of agree with your assessment. I think what they were going for, the original. Have you had the original Henry Clay?
No, I haven't. I read about it. I haven't.
I've looked it up, but
it's a rough, gritty cigar.
Mm.
Okay, that's what that cigar is. It is nothing like a Tatuaje. Okay.
Yep.
Now Pete was trying to put his own spin, working with Altadis on this, but keep that Henry Clay grittiness. I think he succeeded at that. But, again, I don't think it's a profile for everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
But there are people who like a very rough and gritty cigar. And I think that charcoal-y, I don't want to say ashy taste.
No,
But,
you're right.
You're right. It is
right.
an ashy kind of taste. I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, it's kind of interesting. Speaking about a unique flavor profile, I have a lot of things to say about this cigar because it was so cool to smoke this. But I also really analyzed the flavors in this cigar and paid attention to it. This was a gift from Nick Melillo, who, as you know, worked for Drew Estate, blended a lot of the Liga Privada and Unico series cigars, gifted me one of the vintage Ratzilla cigars by Drew Estate.
I like the Ratzilla.
And this was one, I wasn't a huge fan of the Ratzilla when I first smoked it, to be honest with you. But Nick Melillo, when he came here to the studio, who I just adore as a person, after smoking this cigar, like, I wanted to just, like, call him up and be like, dude, you need to come here so I can give you a hug. Because this was just awesome experience to smoke. He was like, dude, this is, like, one of the first, like, ones of the blend that we chose. It had no band on it. This was a vintage Unico Series Ratzilla by Drew Estate, gifted to me by Nick Melillo. It just, wow, dude. It was interesting. I was sitting with the production people earlier today, and I had lit this cigar up. And I'm like, guys, look at the way the smoke pours of this cigar. Like, flavors aside, we were just, like, mesmerized. After I lit this cigar up, I was holding this cigar, and I'd hold it straight, and just the perfect way the smoke would pour off the cigar, and then turn it to the side, and the smoke would, like, go up, and with just perfect, like, billow of smoke, and it'd take a puff on the cigar. And the flavors were really amazing for me. It had this, I want to say it was like a burnt kind of charred meat kind of thing. Like, you know when you kind of like sear a steak kind of thing?
And that salty but savory
a salty,
sort of
savory, charred meat kind of component to it that just made it so interesting to smoke. And I was kind of like the room aroma presented the flavors of like that charred meat really prominent. Like almost like when you're cooking a steak, right?
Yeah.
And you smell it and you're like, it's almost kind of pungent, but pleasurable at the same time. And you're like, wow, that's like really, I'm like, wow. And then I take a puff and I get some of those same flavors, but coupled with, another kind of flavor profile, a little bit of like sweetness and that, kind of Connecticut broadleaf thing going on. So like the whole experience was just so cool. It was so cool to smoke this cigar. I rated it Fight Chuck Norris because of just everything going on. Like, it was like enjoying a fine steak for me is the best I could describe this cigar, right? And we talked about that in our Debonair Ideal. And it was totally Fight Chuck Norris. I enjoyed this cigar from start to finish, just everything about it. Like, to smoke a cigar and just be marveled at, like, the way the smoke is pouring off it and recognize the room aroma and compare that to the way the cigar smokes, like that we've talked about it so many times on the show before, like that whole smoking experience played into this cigar. And I think that, really is a testament to like how the cigar is aging and the blending that went into it. And I'll admit, like the whole, like Nick gifted me the cigar and it didn't have a band on it kind of thing, that definitely factored into it as well. And I'm like, I want to I'm going to contact Nick actually and be like, dude, like, that was really cool. Like, thank you. Like, that was so cool to be able to smoke this and have that experience with it. So that was Fight Chuck Norris all day long. Yeah. All day long. That was the last one I had of that one. So, yeah. They're gone now.
Never.
Nick, if you got more, I'm more than happy to smoke them with you.
Shameless
But
plug.
cool experience, Well.
Oh, yeah. Stogie Santa's send me a sampler of those. I want to smoke some more size of that.
Yeah, like the regular Unico series, Ratzilla.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
When they first came out, I was on the kind of
latest stuff that's kind of come out.
Okay, I've got something that had been sitting for a while too, and I kind of want to go back with the one with the band on it and see how similar it is to the one that
that's what I was saying.
me.
Like the latest stuff that's come out, I have liked. Again, we're talking about Liga Privada.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, this is
we're talking about
Lamborghini
Unico
territory.
series too.
We're talking about Unico series in Liga Privada, which is an exclusive line, within an exclusive line. You know what I mean? And the latest stuff I haven't appreciated as much as I like the older stuff. But the first Ratzilla that I really got into way back when Ratzilla was like a big thing when it first came out, I really, really enjoyed that cigar.
It was very limited. It was very limited when it first came out.
Yeah.
So
I tell you what, though, of all the Unico series stuff, the L40, the Ratzilla, the
Feral Flying Pig.
Feral Flying Pig, thank you. And what's the other one? The smaller
UF13.
Dirty Rat.
And UF13.
Yeah, and UF13, the smoke production that contributes to that overall like experience, like how much smoke it produces, I love. I love a cigar that produces a lot of smoke. And that room aroma that you get from it, coupled with the flavor, like it contributes to the experience for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the things that I really appreciate of that whole series is the way they blended that cigar. Like the smoke production is off the charts.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when we did when we were in the other studio in my house. It was my workshop. That was like a really small workshop. And a small environment, and you get 2 or 3 or 4 people in there, and we were smoking the Feral Flying Pig. Like, from me to you away, dude, we couldn't see each other. Like, that's how much smoke.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool to me. Like, I don't know if I would want every cigar experience to be like that, but to pick up a cigar and have it produce that much smoke and have that room aroma, like, it's almost like when you eat food and you get the the aroma from it and the taste are complementary to each other.
Yeah.
That's what that whole series does for me, and I think it's really cool. And I tend to, and not everyone's in this wheelhouse, right? But I tend to lean towards the cigars. I like a lot of smoke production. I really do. I like a lot of smoke is good for me. You know, I tend to lean towards the cigars that produce a lot of smoke. Cigars that have a tighter draw or not as much combustion, I don't really get into it. You know what I mean? Like as much as the cigars that like really give you that really big mouthful of smoke. I still to this day, and I've talked about this since we started the Stogie Geeks, like I lean towards the cigars that produce a lot of smoke, and this one did that for me, and I think that's really cool. So, Will, we got a contest for this episode.
Yes, we do. Changing the questions a little, yeah.
Yeah, we are. We're going with a little different. I'm going to bring it up here for
a little more challenging.
A little more challenging. We're trying to streamline the contest, and we're going to do cigar trivia, and I think that really kind of embodies the Stogie Geek spirit, right? We're all Stogie Geeks, so we're going to come up with more geeky kind of cigar questions. There's going to be one question for every show. If we have the picture of the prize pack, Jared reviewed the cigar on the show. This is the J. Grotto Series Silk in the Petite Corona. You win a 5-pack of these. We can get the picture up. That's what you're going to win. You're going to email the answer to this question to the show at stogiegeeks.com. So the 173 prize question is, the very first cigar humidifiers were made from what? I was kind of surprised at the answer to this question. It was really, yeah. I mean, we talk a lot about humidification on the show, right? Like we all have our ways, some people use beads, some people have the electronic systems, some people use Bovida, a combination of all three or two out of the three. Like we all use our different methods of
this. We can spoiler alert. Paul asked us this. Will and I this question before.
Yeah, no idea.
We had no freaking clue.
No idea. You might have to Google the answer to this question.
Yeah. So good luck, because you definitely want to win these cigars, man. Because these are really nice.
So the question: the very first cigar humidifiers were made from what? Send the answer to the show at stogiegeeks.com, and we will pick a random winner, and they will win a J. Grotto Series Silk Petite Corona 5-pack, in addition to a Stogie Geek Smoke Naked T-shirt.
Good prize.
Good prize. It was a good show. It's a good question. We all learn something every week.
Yeah.
I think is great. And Will, as always, thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. It's been an interesting week for both of us, I think. So.
Yeah, make sure
good to do the show.
Very interesting week, certainly. Make sure you go to StogieGeeks.com. Check out Stogie Geeks Shorts, Stogie Geeks News, which we'll be recording tomorrow and releasing as well. We've got some Stogie Geeks Shorts in the queue as well. And
don't forget the big game show.
Big game show on the day of the big game, the big football game. Make sure you tune into our live stream, StogieGeeks.com/live, and you'll be able to watch our segment with Flor Dominicana on their football-themed cigar, which is really cool.
That's cool.
And for all of the cigar news and reviews, go to cigar-coop.com. And with that, we'll see everyone next week on the Stogie Geek Show.